Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
North London forever, whatever the weather. It's going to be a generational instant reaction. Welcome back to the instant reaction. Welcome back to the Cannon Podcast. Arsenal 5, Man City 1. This is for that day when they beat us 5-0 at the Etihad, and I nearly cried. This is for that day. This is for all the times that we doubt this manager and this team. This is for all the times that people try and write Arsenal off as not a big team. This is for all the times that we doubt ourselves. Watch this. Watch that back. 5-1.
Stay humble. Stay humble.
Stay humble. And,
stay humble, yeah, stay humble. You know, just these things come back in life, mate. I am so happy, and you know what? I don't know, man. Like the emotions are just going through, and like how proud do you feel of not just the boys, but those academy lads, those Hale End boys? Mate, what they're doing is not normal. It is not normal. And, you know, if we sit there and for as much as I want to be called the 4-letter word that I don't want to keep repeating because I feel like we'll be demonetized, but I think like at some point we have to talk about how ridiculous their level is for this season. And, you know, I believed in them like no one else did on X. And I must say, even they have sat there to surprise me. There's been huge performances across the park. David Raya, my God, what a stud in the first 60 minutes in order to keep us in that game. And then, you know, the midfield, mate, my God, I think Thomas Partey had one of his better games, pulled it back to 2021 in terms of how great that performance was. And then Declan Rice with a seriously, seriously good performance, not just in the press, but also the pass for Ethan Nwaneri's goal. Like, are you kidding me? And yeah, mate, not much negatives. I'm not going to highlight on negatives. There was some stuff I was concerned with, but 5-1, we're not addressing that. I'm sorry if you're here to address that. Sorry. I can't.
I don't care. And I have to highlight this. I have to. Reverse fixture. Erling Haaland. Who the F are you? Well, you know now, don't you, bro? You know now. That's who he is. The guy who bodied you twice and scored on your head top, you stupid man. Oh, mate, it's a generational day for the club. Look, these are the days, like, obviously we're chasing stuff, but you can spend your whole life chasing this thing in the future. Just look at what we are now.
Yeah.
Look at what we are now. We're an unbelievable football team with, as George was mentioning, 2 players. We've just spawned 2 £100 million talents in one season, and they've scored against the best. Look, then they need a whole new midfield, but the best manager of all time.
Yeah,
that's a 5-1. I think I've seen some pretty good data. I'm sure there'll be loads of stats and stuff that come out over the next few days about, you know, Pep and margins he's lost by, but I can't imagine he's lost by this margin many times. This might be the first time, if not the second or third. These sorts of days do not come around very often. Just enjoy it, mate. It was such a good afternoon. It was so good. I'm going to try and do some analysis, but yeah, unbelievable.
It's so good. Look, there are days for analysis and there's days to freaking enjoy your damn football club. Like I was messaging in group chats, like if you didn't smile and celebrate and aren't on cloud 9 after a performance like that, I'm sorry, you're not a fan. You're not a fan. You're miserable. And this for me, it is significant. I don't care that it's without Rodri. I mean, Rodri's the only significant, like missing piece there that we would say from previous teams would sit there and say, okay, we're talking about a very serious Manchester City. Beyond that, mate, like they had every opportunity. They just invested 250 million euros in the transfer market to go and sit there and address a Rodri-esque hole. I'm sorry, and we don't have Saka. We don't have a ton of injuries ourselves. This for me, 5-1, I don't care where you're at in a project, it's significant, right? Even when we're in the dumps and we have one of the worst teams, every time we hit a 5-1, it hit us. It hit us hard. It was a day to mourn. So when you sit there and you take your medicine, which by the way, Pep Guardiola has maybe done 5 times in his career, you take it. And it is not something that I think you should gloss over. I mean, a 5-1 over Manchester City for me is a passing of the guard in terms of what the next era might be. Does that guarantee trophies? Does that guarantee huge success this season? No, none of that. But when you see a team so out of it for so long and then finally break in terms of results going 2-1, they're not going their way. And finally, the 5-1 will hit his team worse because every team in the league will sit there and say, my God, not only have they bled, they've been knocked out, embarrassed. This was Rocky 3, okay, when Mr. T came out and absolutely destroyed him. It is a significant win. And so you know what, mate? Yeah, stay humble. Stay humble. To be fair, Pep has always been humble, but stay humble. You troglodyte.
Mate, this is genuinely like one of the most iconic Emirates moments. I'm calling it now. To have the presence of can we just say to have the presence of mind at 18 years old, not to just go, I'd just be like, ah! I'd just be like, oh my God. To put that back in his face in that way and be that calm, and I mean, forget the performance, that moment is unbelievable. Arsenal now, I think, 14 games unbeaten in all competitions. Yep. Not in all competitions, sorry, in the league, which I think is a record. Where are we now? Arsenal win consecutive home league games against Man City for the first time since 2009. What you're saying there, George, about the passing of the guard is absolutely true. And we can kind of come on to maybe some more of the analysis now, because this wasn't a mistake. And this is, there's going to be people who are going to try and write this down. And let's be absolutely clear. City are not at their best. City aren't at their best. They need a new midfield. Mate, just pull your thing down a little bit. City weren't at their best. Kovacic and Bernardo Silva is not a good enough midfield. But they, as you just said, invested a huge amount of money into this squad. Yeah. But that's forgetting the fact that they have the best forward in the Premier League, one of the best midfielders of all time in Kevin De Bruyne. If you look at their, the numbers put into their backline, all these sorts of things, we aren't on that level. And we beat them fair and square from a tactical level. And I want to come to this now because this is going to get lost in our City of rubbish. Watch how we pressed in that game. Watch how we adjusted the press. Watch how things were a little bit different. So I'm just going to come to a couple of things. Firstly, the way we dealt with them outside. One of the ways City gets at you is they do the give and go. The Savinho thing, the thing that happened with Calafiori, and we stopped that happening. Every time the ball went wide, bang, we're into you. Timber's into you. Miles is into you. They can't get through us. They couldn't go through the middle because we blocked it. But then our fullbacks were really diligent at getting out to the wingers and stopping that give and go on the outside, stopping Gvardiol, all those players. Unbelievable. Declan Rice. Again, it's his capacity. Yeah, absolutely. So we should talk about that on an individual basis, but also his positioning and where he's been asked to stand to stop those balls, to not allow that ball to come into the center of the pitch. Again, this is on Mikel. Some of the balls out from David Raya. I love the switch up with Havertz on the right-hand side. So basically Havertz became the reference on the right-hand side instead of Martinelli, which was more useful, I think, more reliable as an outball. These little things, these little tweaks that people aren't going to talk about, that's the stuff that Mikel does, and that's what won us the game today. And I want to focus on that because people are going to say, oh, it's just City having a bad season. No, this was Mikel schooling Pep. And by the way, not for the first time.
No, and it's because Pep seems to consistently not understand physicality to the same degree that Mikel does. And that's what the fundamental part of it is, right? Because what City kept on trying to do, and I don't know if people noticed, this is the last part of analysis that we'll probably do, but I think City consistently tried to work a long switch out to Miles in order to release. Basically, what he resorted to was long balls. And I hope people can really sit there and highlight that, because what it was is they realized that in the press, they weren't confident. This was Arsenal 2020 in terms of playing outside the press. The way that we, A, broke down the shadow cover, but B, the consistency to which Akanji is receiving. We forced one of the better ball receivers in City's back line to receive off his left foot. That's what forced the mistake. This isn't City gifting Arsenal a goal. This was the Arsenal press causing Akanji to orient his body in a completely different way, receive off his left foot when really he should be facing play, receiving off his right, and just opening to the side. He couldn't do that because he felt pressure, and he felt the pressure of the shadow cover that was so high, so consistent. And that comes from really trusting your athletes, right? Bravery. And it was brave because he did abandon the center, Mikel. He said, okay, Rice, and by the way, Rice was high. It wasn't just that Rice was deep in a double pivot defending. This was Thomas Partey. I trust you to defend the center with Gabriel and Saliba being aggressive. Whereas I'm going to send Miles, I'm going to send Timber, I'm going to send our wingers all to high press the wings to force a long ball over the top. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do it all game for 90 minutes, and we did. And, after that point, mate, it goes about trying to take your chances. I think I was beyond frustrated with it, but I did feel that the press and second balls in the middle of the park was what was going to win the game. It did massively, and we broke their spirit. in the second half.
Yeah.
That was a collapse from a City team who, again, they no matter what happens, and even in their past losses, for me, I haven't seen a collapse. I've seen them lose. I've seen them not do things that are very City, but I haven't seen them give up. And I saw that today.
They gave up today. They absolutely gave up today. You're absolutely right. We crushed them. We crushed their spirit, and it was how intense we were. And we've never been that intense and that early in the press. I would love to. I'm sure there's probably a metric. I don't think it might be PPD. I don't know. There might be a better metric. But to be honest, it's just watching it. Erdegaard going, go on, go to Martinelli or whoever it was on that side. He sent, let's jump onto them, beat early. Look how Kai Havertz was on Edison. We would on Ortega. We would never do that before. We would never. We trust ourselves now. It's unbelievable. We are. So yeah, maybe we'll sort of leave the tactical side of things there because no one wants to hear about that on this day. But let's not forget that this was underpinned by a brilliant setup. I see all your super chats. Thank you all so much. We'll come to them sort of at the end of the show. We'll just go through them basically. So thank you all so much. Let's look at the numbers, George, before we come on to some individual performances as well. These numbers, as always, are from Scott Willis. What are you expecting to see? Just so I pull them up.
I'm expecting to see a really high field tilt as far as the second half goes. I think a really highly contested first half, to be fair. I think City felt like they came on top in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the first half. But then other than that, I think Arsenal would have sat there dominating quite a bit. And I think we'll see here in the numbers. There's no use in predicting with them up here. But fairly even in terms of threat up until, I'd say, the 55th, 60th minute.
But interestingly, similar number of deep touches, similar number of zone 14 touches, similar number in terms of expected threat. They have more final third entries. They actually beat us on the field tilt championships. More passes, more possession, but look at that expected goals. And that comes from the risk that we took to say, okay, it's going to be an even game up to we're going to step up high and early and try and win that ball back when you play it into the midfield and have those opportunities. And that's a very brave thing to do, because if you evade that, if you get past that first press and the interceptions that Rice and Partey were attempting, it's a big problem. Let's move forward. So this is the
0.77, by the way, mate, is going to come from the Kai Havertz miss. Of those 2.2.
That's the Kai Havertz miss, I'm pretty sure. And also if you look at in terms of the quality of the goals, that's Wanyeri goal. Was the Miles goal third or fourth? That was the Miles that Miles was the third. So the Partey one, the Miles one, the Kai Havertz one, and the Ethan Wanyeri one. I think you can see the quality of the finishing because they're not really big chances. Obviously, that's the Odegaard one there. Skipping forward in terms of the shot map. Some big chances in the center of the goal, which again is always important. And then you can see there at the end, we are absolutely pummeling them. And by the way, I mean, maybe the field tilt isn't as impressive or as much as we want it to be.
Does it even matter at that point?
It doesn't matter, George. I'm going to say this. I'm sorry to the CannonPod listeners. The field tilt doesn't matter today. But actually, transitionally, we did really well. We had some really nice moments on the transition. Obviously, the Kai Havertz goal sort of was the pièce de résistance. But there were some really nice moments on the transition and some good decisions in transition, which hasn't always been the thing. Can I admit something? Before the Kai Havertz goal, my housemate will attest to you. He plays it through to Martinelli and he makes that run, the outside run. This was my reaction. What are you doing? Don't make that run. Oh no, fair enough. I was like, because it's exact. And we'll come to Kai Havertz. We certainly will come to Kai Havertz. But it was that thing of like, that's not a centre forwards run. He then made up for it. But yeah, I thought we had some nice moments on the transition.
I would love to just highlight Trossard for a moment. Player that has gone from difficult moment for months to in the last couple games really bubbling. And I think he was a really important technical reference because, again, there's not going to be much negatives, but I will say, bar the goals, I felt Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard had a difficult game in terms of being a technical reference in the final third. And we were struggling to really go through the center of the park. And a lot of our outlets came from wide over the top and being able to secure ourselves in the final third through wide possessions. And Trossard was really, really good in this match. And he's been good for the last couple games. I think I'm looking at somebody that has had a switch flicked in his own mind, at least in what I'm seeing.
Do you think the Saka injury, my friend said this, I think it feels like since Saka's got injured, it's not that he's necessarily gone up productivity-wise, but it feels like he's gone up responsibility-wise, Trossard.
on the ball, it's the technical consistency that I think has
Yeah.
been more impressive, right? And I don't know. The only thing that I can say from it, and this is, I don't have any proof. I don't know if he was thinking of truly leaving personally in the January and the Saka injury has really stopped a lot of maybe potential plans. And there was a period for me that he just application wise, it wasn't there. And, you know, a switch is flicked. And I think in the last couple of weeks, he's like, okay, I'm here for the next 6 months. I'm going to apply myself. And there's just a part of me that's saying, okay, the technical consistency is back. For me, Trossard, the biggest boggling was in the last couple of months is when he couldn't trap a ball. He was making poor passes. That isn't him as a player. And, you know, I think he's back and he did those things. And so it was brilliant. I mean, going as far as like individuals go, I really think that Gabriel had some serious things to talk about this game. I mean, Gabriel Magalhaes, because he, for me, I think Saliba can do better on the Haaland goal, personally, when I'm looking back
absolutely.
at it. Lets him get goal side a little bit too easily for me. But Gabriel, okay, beyond celebrating in Haaland's face, which is hilarious, he was switched on all match, and he was the defensive leader for me in this game. There's times where I feel like Saliba, who I think has actually had the better season as a whole, but today Gabriel really stepped up and backed the talk.
Yeah, I just think I think Gabriel in these types of games, it feels like his energy matches these sorts of games. Saliba, maybe over the course of a season, is you could argue the better player, whatever way you look at it. But in these sorts of games, like the Spurs away, those types of games, it feels like Gabriel always steps up, which is what I love him for. I really love him in these types of games. We're going to come to all the super chats. Well, I suppose we want to come to some individual performances, but I know there's been loads of stuff about various players, so we'll come to as many of your super chats as we possibly can to end the show, and we'll go through sort of more individual players and sort of talking points as well. Ivan Smith, why didn't Pep play Foden today? I thought he was clear as Saka. I know that's a joke, but again, the lack of access they had centrally and the fact that they were force wide, but when they were force wide, we dealt with them properly and early, again, is a testament to the way Mikel set them up. It was really clear, really focused. Foden had nothing. And the amount, I'd love to know, that clip of Mikel where he said, if anyone gets a pass in here against Wolves in the all or nothing, he's like, it's £5,000 fine.
Yeah.
I'd love to, and he said it in an interview recently with Patrick Davis, and he said like he gives them certain messages. I would love to know if he said, I will give $5,000 to every intercepted pass inside by Kovacic, Foden, or Nunes today, or something like that. I bet it was something on that pass inside. If you're there early and you grab it for me, pizza party at your place.
Yeah, something like, for me, anybody with a longer than 5-yard carry centrally has to be hit, or you're fine. You allow anybody to have something like that.
They had
longer,
nothing central.
Nothing. And mate. It was what impressed me more about it wasn't because of quantitative superiority. So it wasn't because we packed the center. No. Really simply, we did it with less individuals, and we did it through smart movement in the press. Which, again, for me, I don't want to hear the XG comments. I mean, today, as far as manufacturing chances and through the middle of the park and the amount of chances we manufactured in the box central were huge. Today was not a day. And you know what? We've been bubbling on that. I think we've been quietly addressing. Maybe that's a pod point that we can talk about a little bit later, so we don't get too nerdy on it. But there has been an uptick in terms of Arsenal's ability to access the center of the pitch, I'd say, since Everton, personally.
Yeah. And certainly passing inside, but also you said it's because of the individual performances. But again, it's this ideological thing. If you match up Ødegaard, Partey, and Rice against Kovacic, Foden, and Bernardo Silva, it's not in this league at the moment. It's not a debate because of the physicality, because of the legs that's in there. And I think Pep's got it wrong, really, to construct a midfield like that. Well, I mean, try to get Rice. So, we need this against Newcastle. This gives me belief, says Justin or JSTN. Keep it going. Come on, you guys. And yeah, look, as I've said on the pod, I don't believe we're going to go to St. James's Park and get a result. I'll stick by that. I would love to be wrong, obviously. But this is the sort of result that absolutely Liverpool are looking at this. Let's not forget that. Liverpool will be watching this and they're going, okay, interesting. I'm not going to sit and pretend they're going to be, oh God, that's it. That's the title over for us. No, they're in the driving seat. Of course they are. But they've watched that. They will have seen that, and they know this title race isn't over. It absolutely isn't over. Look, I don't feel particularly optimistic about going to Newcastle, but you never know. You never know. And on the back of a result like this, it could give us exactly what we need.
I do, mate. I I really think we have something, and I think this is the type of result to really kickstart a season. I think you go and you follow that up with a massive win at St. James Park, with many people believing it's over to progress to the Carabao Cup, and you're slowly building a mountain to Liverpool that culminates in a Carabao Cup final, seriously swinging the season for me.
Wow.
Because you're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, in the next couple weeks, you could be looking at a City 5-1, returning a 2-goal deficit at St. James Park, leading to Bukayo Saka coming back in March whilst having a final against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, all while only 6 points behind. And if anybody can have a look, Liverpool were 7 points ahead last year in March. So I think people forget this.
Mate, as I say, it's a prediction. I would love that to happen. I would absolutely love that to happen. I also think, maybe we're forgetting, I think we're going to do something tomorrow in terms of in the market. I'm looking at the way Villa are moving, and that's not a team who think they're going to hold on to everyone.
Yeah.
And I think this might, I'll explain probably when we come to some transfer stuff later, I'll explain what I think is going on. But if we get a signing through the door, if it's Ollie Watkins or something, and that all happens, it's all within the realm of possibility. Sean Hawke says, Haaland, who are you? MLS, I'm that guy. Yeah, I mean, it is just hilarious. And it's also, did you see the moment where Gabriel like pulls his shorts and asks him to go get his boot back?
Yeah.
It's so good. Mate, it was so good. What a day. What a day. Benga or Gubenga has become a YouTube member. Thank you so much, sir. Very kind. Matt G says, Helen, baby. Yeah. And these are days that it absolutely inspire the current 12, 13, 14-year-olds to say, okay, I can do that. I know Miles. I know Ethan. I've seen them round the place. They were at Hale Enter last year. I can absolutely do that. Why not? You know, absolutely. And we're not done. That's the exciting part, is that we're not done with Miles and Ethan.
They've just shown you like the tip of the iceberg, and all I'm going to say on it, maybe we can have a Miles section after, but I definitely want to get through your super chats. As we said, there's so many.
We've got one here from Zoe says, ball my eyes out when Miles scored. Go on, George.
Oh, mate, like it's just this boy, that's your left center mid sample. Like, what more do you need to see? Like, in terms of his offensive ability to roll people, all people have seen has been the superb physicality to hold off challenges that people are sat there saying, wow, I didn't know he had this physical base. I told you, like, you know, this is his superpower, but wait until you start to see some of the other parts of his game, the passing range, by the way. This, for me, is him arriving. He has played well. The team is like, oh my gosh, my young boy, you've done so well. This is him taking the game by the scruff of the neck against last year's champions. The confidence it will do to an already confident boy is off the charts, and you will start to see his footballing ability. And all I've got to say is watch out. Watch out for his passing range. Watch out for his awareness in the final third, and watch out for his ability to spot runners, because people calling for a left central midfielder, mate, you've got one. You've got one, and he is a 100 million pound player.
Leave it there. Nindo says, most enjoyable game I've watched this season. Yeah, I can't think of a better game this season. So I mean, that's one of my favorite Mikel moments, maybe performances. I mean, I wouldn't say maybe it's our best, because there was periods where City were on top or whatever, but in terms of the enjoyability of the game, it's somewhere up there. So it's a really enjoyable.
It's a rock. It's the tick-off point. Like, how many times in the pod have we not said that we're looking for the season to start?
Yeah,
I really feel, look, it depends on results. It depends on your consistency and your ability to take this forward. But my God, something like this is the definition of a takeoff point.
Moise, you got something for me. Josh Miller says, stay humble. Our two left backs are our best attackers. Can I just say something? I said before the game, I've never seen Martinelli at right wing work. This is not a Martinelli slander. I don't want to see him at right wing. I just don't want to see it, because Ethan provides us so much more there. I just don't want to see it at right wing. I'm sorry. And I understand it in terms of the out of possession work, and I understand it because he's an outlet, all that sort of stuff. With Trossard's form, it's difficult. I just don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough because, I mean, he was doing the outlet work that I felt like Kai had to have done more in the first half, and we didn't see. Yeah. And so we ended up having a position where I don't think he likes being right wing either. But by the way, great finish. Offside in the first couple of minutes, but phenomenal finish. Like, you get him on the last shoulder, I think we see a lot more impact from him. He had a hugely defensive performance in this match, and it was a very much a case of secure the center, and that's your job today. You're not going to be the last line outlet. We had Kai doing that, which I didn't like the intent behind that personally with it. But yeah, mate, like it was as far as Ethan goes, he with Ben White gives you the closest approximation to Bukayo Saka. And I just think I can't wait for him to come back with Ethan. And I really think Ethan explodes and starts to show a bit more midfield play, because right now people are wrongly saying this is Phil Foden. And I really hate that comparison because it really isn't.
Yeah. I understand why for non-tacticos like you, George. But yes, I know you don't like the tactical word, but there you go. Yes. The Mako says Nwere just came out the womb and he already has a trademark finish. Yeah, it's not only the fact that he can wrap his foot around that with the consistency, where he takes the shot, how he executes, and all that sort of stuff. It's the confidence to take that shot on. You know, the moment he receives that ball, you know where he's going. It's the same. It's the Saka, it's the Robin, you know where those guys are going, and you can't stop it. That's the cool bit. It's like, so what? What are you going to do? Same with Miles.
Mate, his backlift is crazy. Like, I was having this interaction on Twitter about it, and it's a finesse shot, but the backlift that he gets and the power he generates on it is insane. I think it's why it catches people off guard so much, because he's stepping into his shots, and people normally don't do that to generate that type of power. So goalkeepers are rooted. They don't know, they're not really read where he's going. They may know he's trying to go far post, but they don't know when it's going to happen, because it's literally a step along his running pattern. So it's just, it's incredible. It's inevitable, some might say.
Exactly. Big Cheese says MLS iconic for that Selly. He absolutely is. And Nabia says all without Saka. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, every time I see him on the sidelines, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. Just please come back. I mean, I was kind of hoping we'd see one of White or Tomiyasu today if they're available. I don't know if Tomiyasu's training. I think they're keeping things under wraps, but I think White is certainly close.
I think they both might be on the grass, but as far as like team training, there's a distance, right? Because typically you go on the grass on your own for solo and like movement work before you join with contact, essentially.
Yeah. Dan says, even though he missed the sitter, Kai was comfortably better than the best striker in the world today. Unbelievable team performance. Enjoy, everyone. I actually don't. I thought Odegaard was better maybe than you did today, but I probably would agree with you on Kai in terms of the. He was okay. I think in terms of his pressing onto the goalkeeper and stuff like that, it does help us, but we kind of know that. I can't get away from that moment where he misses that shot. And if we'd lost that game, we would all be talking about it. And it's this exact thing that I keep banging on about, where it's like, I know he's not that type of centre forward, but there are moments in a game where you can't predict, where you end up in a situation where if you're the centre forward at Arsenal, you need to be doing something, even attempting it. There's a moment where he's through and he just cuts back. I think he might be sort of on our right. No, it's our right, their left. And he's basically through like 1v2 maybe, and he just cuts back, and he's got an opportunity to take someone on, just cuts back. I get it. It's not who he is, but there are moments in games where you have to do something you're not comfortable with. And I think he's just allergic to that. And that frustrates me.
I'd love to have a convo on the pod about it, because I think this is all good vibes. The one thing I will say is I just don't believe he will ever be a killer. Without a doubt in my mind. I will end on that miss is worse than Kluivert for me. Anybody that's played knows how horrible the miss is. It's really, really bad. But again, we're sat there in terms of him taking his chance on the transition on the outside of Martinelli with a very good finish, bottom corner. So I'm like, credit. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think you had a great game. And both things can be true. You can score whilst not having a good game, and that's fine. Sure. I just bring up some of the other stuff. The touch for me that he's had as a reference, it was a trampoline in the first half. Like, that's need to be tighter. He has that in him to have it tighter, and it wasn't. So improve those things. As far as the convo goes on Kai, I think we all know, or at least most people can appreciate the output that he had, but I don't know how confident I can be that he's going to ever be a killer center forward in any title winning team. That's really just ultimately where I stand on it.
And that's okay if you have killer wingers. But we currently
ours killers, it's okay.
Currently ours is in the stand. And that's why I ask for more when he is in those positions. And not even, as I say, just to try. You have to try in that position. I understand you're not comfortable, but you have to try. Harry Scary, one of the best Arsenal games I've seen in my lifetime. We've shown a big mentality and praised our youngsters scoring. That's insane. Shout out to Rice, Boston midfield today. Come on, you Gunners. Yeah, Rice was absolutely unbelievable today. I'm just going to read out his numbers, game by numbers. Declan Rice's game by numbers versus Man City. 51 touches, 38 out of 43 passes completed, 5 final third entries, 4 chances created, 3 possession, 1, 2 interceptions, 2 clearances, 2 accurate long balls, 2 crosses, 2 assists. Absolutely fantastic with Declan Rice. And I think he's... I was on Saturday Social yesterday morning, and what I called, I said 3 things. I said 2-1, which was wrong, but I did say it's going to get spicy at certain points, and it did. I did say Declan Rice is going to have a fantastic game, and he did, because once he's going, as we've discussed a number of times, once he's in a season, he can just put great performance after great performance after great performance, all on the back of each other. He's extraordinary.
Yeah, he is. I mean, there's not much to say. Like, the only thing is, I don't know if there's any super chats on Thomas Partey. I want to give him his credit. For me, rolled back the years with that performance. I thought Thomas Partey had one of his better performances all season. Like, brilliant. Like, because he was immense. He was really, really good. And he was good also in the sense that he really toned down his vertical passing. That, for me, is when he's at his best. If he can focus on keeping defensive consistency, which he can do, he's always been okay at that. It's about making sure that he strikes the balance between not being too vertical with his passes, too much willing to kind of send the ball into the stands through a lazy pass. And I think he did that. He was really, really good. As good as, Declan was out of possession and in the press, Thomas was in possession today, which was incredible.
I'd agree. They have arrived, says David. I'm presuming referring to Miles and Ethan. So I hope you've, not much more to say on those 2 guys. They're just extraordinary. Afaf says that used to be Haaland's celebration at Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, he did it for City. I remember on his first day when he first scored, but I don't think he's done it recently. But I mean, again, I hope he prepped that. I reckon he probably did.
He did. I'm telling you, knowing Miles and that personality, he's been hoping and praying for any kind of moment to put that back. He would have done it, by the way, if he didn't score. That's how confident I am with him doing that stuff.
I wanted a ball thrown at his head so bad. Mark Lowley, Declan Rice, I would have paid 300 million for you. Man of the match here. He was terrific. Flicky Flax says, what do you think about Kai's touch? Only kidding. Come on, you Gunners. Love it. We discussed Kai a little bit. Dan says, Carl Walker must have seen this coming. Went out the country. See you later. Dane says, we gave the least minutes in the league in 23-24 to teenagers. Now we're in the top 7, I think, for the most minutes. 6 turnaround. Yeah, look, we have to be honest, both you and I sat on this podcast last year and said, where's the opportunities coming? And I can only speak for myself. I remember saying at the time, it's 2 things. Either they don't trust the talent or they don't trust the academy and sort of in that thing, or it's on Arteta and he doesn't trust youth. And I never felt it was Arteta doesn't trust youth. I think it was about the right talent at the right time. And then you could see them adding that talent and they've come of age at the right time. And here we are. So yeah, I think it was always going to be a kind of tertiary issue for the club. You have to get things right on the pitch with your senior players first, and then hopefully you start supplementing things. That's how you become sustainable as a project and a club, overall. You look at the Madrids and the cities, etc. To be successful for 10 years plus, that's what you have to start looking at. But we're entering that phase now, and that's really exciting that we're starting to supplement our first team with players from the academy, and that was always going to take a little bit of time. I think it probably could have been done maybe a little bit earlier, to be honest, but here we are.
Yeah, we didn't do it as early as we could have in an ideal world.
Yeah.
Now we're here, we're giving it, we're doing it, and we're doing the business. I'm okay with it. I mean, I still think as far as academy goes, there's loan things that we need to talk about and value building and whatnot. So it's not a complete 10 out of 10. But look, the talent, it's a credit to the talent. I will say this, less so maybe as much on the club. I want to praise the individuals more, because for Miles and Ethan, not only are they getting the opportunity, but they're taking it, they're excelling and saying, no, boss, you give me more. So as far before it was, I will give you this opportunity. And with performances like this is Ethan and Miles saying, no, I'm not a boy anymore.
You have no choice.
I want my team shirt now.
Yeah. You have no choice but to play me. And I'm making that choice for you. I mean, Calafiori, the thing is, it's going to be Calafiori, whatever. Unfortunately, he's found himself in a situation where Arsenal have a generational talent coming out of the academy. Meanwhile, next to one of the best, in my opinion, centre-back partnership in the world. That's the 2 positions he can play.
But mate, you know
and
what
he's
it
been
is?
unfortunate with injuries. There's not much more he could do, in my opinion.
But also, mate, like it's coming to a point like he's coming back through injury, but also Miles and Calafiori play together. Like I don't know why people make this divide
Yeah.
between the two.
In the future.
If anything, it's Marino that loses out the most of this situation for me, personally. And
But that's long term. I'm talking about right now. I think long term, yeah, Miles definitely pushes him. But right now, I think Calafiori can count himself probably a little bit unlucky.
a little bit. Again, for me, I have to be honest because I said it previously. I would have wanted Calafiori to start as well as Miles. Like I want Miles to start in midfield. I think there's something there. We're obviously giving him the ability to play left back right now. But I think there's serious potential throughout the season. We're going to start to see Miles, that bridge that I thought we needed with Marino, is getting smaller and smaller by the day. Like I seriously think it could get to a point of no, Marino, you're second place now with Miles starting. Whereas I think this season they had originally thought Marino with Miles as a backup and will slowly work you in. And I think that's changing before our eyes personally.
Yeah, well, Miles isn't coming out of the team, mate. So
yeah.
I'm telling you that. Not an analytical comments as Ivan, but I need everyone here to know that the PA announcer played Kendrick Lamar's Humble at full time.
That's incredible.
Yes, he did. There's some clips out there. Please go check that out. Frederick says, is this season's Dubai turn where we start to play like winners for the rest of the season? Mate, let's hope so. As you were saying earlier, George, like we're looking for the season to turn, and that I think ought to start almost, and I think that was today. But we've also got a Dubai trip coming up after Newcastle. So, we haven't even this is pre-Dubai. Bizwagic, we went through this earlier with Partey. Sean, been saying for months, Mikel Arteta has built a team for the Champions League. Yeah, and I think I was saying this yesterday as well. I think we're maybe slightly underrating how far we could potentially go in the Champions League. I really do believe this is a semi-final or final team. I don't know if we win it. I don't, because I don't think we have that gear up front that we all know we're looking for, but maybe we'll get that with Ollie Watkins, I don't know, or something in the summer. But I think we based on how resolute we are, I think we can absolutely do something in the Champions League. Junior, Alex Partey, arguably man of the match, and has been our best midfielder this season. Whether you like it or not, going to be hard to replace him should he leave. I've never said I don't like it. I think Partey is an absolutely brilliant midfielder. There's days where he's, as we know, brain dead. so I can't put him in, I think you're referring to the combined 11. I can't put him in a combined 11 over Declan Rice. But I think today he was extraordinary. Today, especially as George was saying, in terms of in possession, he was unbelievably positive. He did a lot of work out of possession as well in terms of cutting things out. His tackling technique today I thought was terrific. So he has great days, but there are days when I can't put him in over Declan Rice. Shows what taking your chances can do. Come on, you Gunners, says Reese. Thank you for being a member. Very kind. DB says, have a drink on me, lads. And damn, Wanyeri hitting bangers like Yamal every week. I mean, what category do you put Miles and Wanyeri in? Because obviously we talk about, who are probably the best teenagers in the world right now? It probably is Yamal. Is Vert still a teenager?
No, I don't think so.
I think he's 20.
He's 21.
Who are the best teenagers?
Zayn Emery.
Zayn Emery.
Yamal.
But I don't know if they're. I don't know why they're not in that class if they're not.
Well, for me, they're one of the best midfielders in the world. I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly factually has the best tackle success rate of anybody in the Premier League at almost over 80% right now.
Yeah.
And we're talking about somebody that's consistently come in. The only problem is I think Yamal just has had the international tournament. But I'm telling you right now, Tuchel is looking at both of these kids, and it would not surprise me to hear them get a call up. It genuinely would not surprise me. So I think it's difficult. I mean, you've got Kendry Pays, Estevio from Chelsea. Those are two players that a lot of people are looking towards. Barca, don't they also have the center back as well?
Subasi, people saying like Estevio, Endrick, Subasi. But basically, what I'm saying is, why are they not in that category? They are in that category, and those are the sorts of players that we look at around the world and we idolize and we go, oh, why can't we do that? We have them, guys. We have them in our academy. They are as good. They're doing it at the top level in the title race challenging team. Victor, 2 game weeks ago, he fell asleep at the back post. 2 game weeks ago. Where are we? Let's come back to this. Fode, thank you so much for your super chat, very kind, mate. Timmy says, generational get back today. Truly indescribable how happy I am. Come on, you Gunners. Here he is. Mikel Arteta's on the phone. Yes. I also think that was a game not that could have gone another way, because I think we deserved to win. But there was a moment, right, in the second half where I think there was a kind of collective, oh, Jesus. Again, we kind of came back from a position that we didn't want to be in. And credit to us, because there's not been many times this season where I felt as though we start a win and we just sort of process. It feels like we score, then they score. That it just, and that could be a problem. I'm not saying it isn't, but in terms of the mentality, or I guess to kind of turn it around, I think is something that we can give ourselves credit for. Basic again saying also playing Kendrick Lamar's Humble at full time. People really enjoying that today, George. Nick, justification for the last 5 years, 1 goal per year. Thank you, Mikel. Thank you to the lads. Thank you to the Cannon Podcast. Please enjoy this. Thank you, Nick, for your super chat. Very, very kind. Art, thank you so much. Ivan, don't want to be that guy, but Peter Banks was awful. Should have sent off Bernardo Silva twice. Thoughts?
What do you think? Did you see the kick out after on Trossard?
I thought Bernardo Silva should have had a yellow card, yeah. But there was also one point where Trossard does throw himself to the ground.
Sure, so... but did you see like the kick out after?
Yeah,
so like he challenged, like if that's Declan Rice, that's what got us a red card.
Yeah,
earlier in the season.
It's completely inconsistent. The whole thing is completely inconsistent. I mean, within about 5 minutes, they were already holding onto the ball and delaying restarts, so they should have got
the Martin Odegaard yellow.
If we're doing that, Joe.
Yeah, the Martin Odegaard yellow is disgusting for me. Wins the ball. He's gonna be pissed off. Look, the only thing I'll say is the FA, and I do believe this. I don't know if you think it's true. They're gonna punish us. For me, for the next couple games, at the very least, if not for the rest of the season. The outroar that they received publicly about this entire situation, and then them charging us, by the way, for us surrounding the referee when Manchester City have done that for nigh on 3-4 years, that's retaliation for what was, they felt, completely fair decision, unjust reaction, Arsenal being ridiculous, and the whole media got on them, and they blamed us for that wrongly. And I think that's going to manifest in some way in games. And I think it's ridiculous. I'll be honest.
Again, probably for another pod. I don't disagree on that isolated incident. I think it's a ridiculous charge. I think they're trying to cover their back. Whether they're out to get us, I think is a conversation for another day. Dane, commentator said that Arsenal haven't lost the game with Partey, Rice and Odegaard in the midfield in the EPL. I don't actually know
how long they've had it as. I will be fair. True stat, but I don't know how long. That's like how much sample it's been.
Because I can't imagine there's or certain like strings of games where they've started together.
Yeah.
Alejandro says, I told George about last time we played City, we will have our vengeance against PGMOL, City and Haaland. Come on, you Gunners. Liverpool, you're next, says Alejandro. Thank you so much. Neville encouraging Haaland to swing at Big Gabby is a joke. Gabby would monster him.
What do you reckon in a fight? Who wins out? Gotta be Gabriel.
I feel like I'm the one like defending Gary Neville. I'm not defending Gary Neville. This is stupid stuff. I don't think he encouraged him to swing at him. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It's not on your coverage. Gabby would win every single time. Every single time. Mate, Miles bodied Haaland.
Mate, favela strength. Come on.
Exactly. How can you keep Miles and Wanyeri out of the starting lineup next season? They are taking those spots. I don't think anyone can stop them. Love you too, Jay. I think we can discuss this a little bit as well. Timmy, what I would give to be a fly on the wall during the team talk following that game. Yeah, I'm always curious, and I'd love every season. I don't know why they don't do this. I'd love every season for them to film a documentary about the season, because people would swallow. I would pay like 50 quid to watch that. Genuinely. If it was like properly unfiltered access, I 100% would do that. So I'd love to
probably hate it. Like if I was a coach, like Mikel probably hates it in general, but I'm with you. Like I think it's such easy commercial. Like I don't know why teams that are struggling don't do it more. Like I'm looking at your Villas or whatnot. Like wouldn't every fan base, I don't care how successful you are, if you love your club, are you not going to buy like a prime documentary? Like if you're in trouble, I know it's stupid, but like come on, that's easy money, is it not?
It's easy 10 mil. Easy every year from Prime. Just we'll do it again. Of course, or just sell it yourself. If they did that and they said 30 quid, I'd buy that. Of course I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will pirate it, but LT says, as an Arteta out fan, my ego didn't let me enjoy the game. Well, fair play to you for accepting it. I celebrated the Haaland goal. I will never accept Mikel is good. Bring Dyche. I think this might be a joke, actually. I think I've just got to the end of that. I was like, okay, I think that's a joke. Polis says, the only trophy you will win is the Stay Humble trophy. if you're a rival fan who has paid money to the Cannon Podcast to say the only trophy you will win is a Stay Humble trophy, can I suggest you have a hard look at your life?
Thank you.
Thank you. But if you're a rival fan who's paid money to say that, MLS biggest SH1T house, and I'm so here for it.
Mate, I'm telling you, rivals will hate him. I said this, I think, in a previous pod, but like he's one of those players. It's why I love him even more. He's a house. Like, yeah.
For sure. What is that picture of Dr. Pro Gamer? Prime Barca after the Dubai trip. Thank you, Chinua. Timber didn't have a stand-up moment, but he had an exceptional game. 360 radius, brave, composed, hardly not cost 80 million. Such a player. Timber's also rapid.
Very
He's
quick.
rapid. Like, he doesn't have maybe the same. You can't sort of. I've got this thing about. I want to find a clever way of saying it, but it was just basically just people putting their legs apart, extending their legs. It feels like his stride length is quite short. So he doesn't quite have that sort of running power that Ben White has in the same way, but he is rapid. There's a point where the ball breaks and he's straight to it. He's really good. I think it's more his reactions, mate. It's like the Mbermo thing where he's just quicker than everyone, even though he's got short legs.
5-yard burst is crazy.
Yeah. It's really nice. Ivan Smith says, now he's a Saturday Social regular. How long before Alex takes Roy Keane's place on match coverage? How long, George?
Should be tomorrow, if you're asking me.
That's my job. That's going to be my job. That's going to be my job. I could just do an impression of Roy Keane. Is there? just say, well, the reason Arsenal won today is the mentality. That's why they won. Not the tactics, the mentality. That's why they won. This was liberation for 10 years of agony. But yeah, I mean, they've beaten us so many times like this. So many times. We're going back to like prime Wenger.
Oh, mate.
Like still prime Wenger. Let alone late stage Wenger, let alone Emery, let alone Ernie Arteta. They've done this to us so many times under this new regime, 15 years old regime. But yeah, so nice.
It's a takeoff moment. I maintain, I really feel that we will look back on this, and I think because it comes down in the retrospective trophies in the last couple of years, and you're looking for when was that switch, that moment we needed something, and I don't know if it's Arsenal necessarily, but it was the moment for me. Pep finally said, okay, my time is done in the Premier League. My era of domination is done. That is what I believe. I don't know if it's Arsenal that capitalized now. I think we are. We're best place, yada, 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 yada. But I personally think as far as Pep goes, and when people are segmenting a bookend, this feels monumental.
It does feel slightly end of days, doesn't it? Because I just don't know where the cycle goes for him from here. He has nothing to prove. Nope. Like he doesn't. It's not like he has anything to. He's maybe a quadruple. He's done the treble. He's done 4 in a row. He's done basically everything. He's done the Centurions. He's fought off Klopp, 6 times out of 7 or whatever it was. He has nothing to prove. Why would he spend all that time and energy, especially when he just got divorced and obviously his personal life and things are crumbling a little bit? Why would he bother? Surely you just go, do you know what I think he's doing? I can't remember who said this. I think it might be Jamie Carragher, and it's such quite a good point. I think what he's doing is what Klopp did in his final season, where he basically had the bad year and then is going to rebuild and sort of basically wants to leave the team in a good place for the next manager. And I think that's what he's doing. He might go this season or next season, but I think he's basically looking at the team and going, right, I'm going to regenerate. I'm going to move on the De Bruynes and the Kyle Walkers and these types of guys, sign the new guys, and then move on. Please go. Oliver nearly deprived us of this MLS performance, says Mr. Gooner. What a prick. Nick Campbell said, not you, Michael Oliver, Mr. Gooner, you're a lovely guy. Nick Campbell, new metric, expected humbling, XH1. That was a 1 expected humbling.
Yeah.
Unbeaten at home in the league, says Dane, which is a very good stat. Sam says, absolutely unreal. We must build on this. Come on, you, I think, Gunners. Yeah, and hopefully we go and build on it on Wednesday night, although I have to say I'm not particularly hopeful, but I won't say that. Sam says he's 19 years old, never seen us beat City like that. Yep, absolutely. It's in terms of in your lifetime.
Even in mine, I'm not even gonna lie. In my 29 years, I haven't seen a domination like that with the scoreline reflected. I've seen us dominate Cazorla. That performance was top as a performance. It wasn't 5-1,
but it wasn't a scoreline like that. Yeah. And Alex, Dane finally says, Alex, Pep impression, please. Keen one was sick. Much love and appreciation from Johannesburg, South Africa. I'll do it at some point in a minute.
Jukebox, go.
Jukebox. Perform. Performing monkey. George, what a day, man. What a day.
Yeah,
Let's try and
man.
sum it up. Yeah, 5-1. It's starting to sink in now. Thank you so much. There's been over 2,000 of you watching live, which has been crazy. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But look, this season has been weird. It's been a weird year. It's not felt like we've got any momentum. We've been squabbling about refs and injuries and worrying about the transfer market and still winning and still keeping ourselves there, but never quite feeling like we're thriving, we're flying. I hope and I pray this is the moment, as we were sort of alluding to earlier, that this season gets properly kicked off. This is what we already 14 unbeaten in the league. I hope this is now a win situation. And I don't mean the dog.
Mate, we have been looking for a takeoff point. We have been looking for us to get started all season. And I truly feel if you're not going to do it on this performance, you're not going to do it, period. This is for me the point that we can bookend a season that we felt hard done by for a multitude of factors, a season that we as fans haven't felt the team perform to potential, and tonight they have, and they've exceeded it. Like, there's not many times this season that I feel us as a unified fan base have felt, listen, I felt like you guys can perform. We had expectations and you surpassed them. Last year we did that. So that's why people were okay in terms of accepting where we finished, and why this year there's been collective Arteta annoyance and almost apathy to the club, just win mentalities, right? It's because this team hasn't exceeded the lofty expectations that we placed at the beginning, and this is a result, a team, and a performance that it finally has. So I'm looking at it as a takeoff point. I'm looking at it a little bit more serious, and I'm thinking you follow that up. What is absolutely crucial is to follow this up in a similar level of beating at St. James Park. I think you do that, you start to building blocks to seriously consider what you can do this season. And I maintain, mate, I think a Carabao Cup win, if you mix that in as far as the season and against Liverpool, I think that really does something to the nerves and to the psyche to lose a trophy to the team you're supposedly feeling you're far out in front when it's not quite as far.
Yep. Yeah, I completely hear that. Want to talk before we go? I just want to talk transfers quickly and say Elliot said that second half was the best half of Arteta's tenure. Add the kids scoring best match of the year. Credit to Arteta on the side. I think it was the best match of the year. I think so far. I actually think we performed better, but equally we were way more efficient in front of goal. So you could have you could put it either way. Derry says give us a player rating. We've sort of gone through most players, but I realize the one player that we haven't mentioned particularly is David Raya. David Raya right now is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
He is. Name any aspect of goalkeeping, he does it well. Dominating his box, cross-claiming, corners, set pieces, shot stopping.
Response to adversary is my big one. I've not seen a keeper so consistently respond to really difficult moments, either in game or even in the past game, and be able to really have a memory like a goldfish and applied himself in the present. He's top. And by the way, like we had mentioned it really briefly at the start of the stream, but he kept us in this game. Like that period up until 60 minutes, like you said, this wasn't a 5-1 from minute 1 to 90. It was maybe a 5-1 after minute 60, and we deserved it and all that stuff. But David Raya was crucial to keeping it essentially 1-1.
He's world class. And there's right now there's maybe just for this team, I'm not sure I'd swap him, but he is entering that upper echelon Edison type conversation for me. I think he's just terrific. Was that 5 open play goals as well, says Dane? Was that 5 open play goals? I think it was.
Yeah, the first one.
Kai, Miles. Yes, okay, deflection with Thomas Partey. First one was. Well. And Ethan.
Yeah.
5 open play goals, lads. Can't say fairer than that. Final thing. Market. Obviously, the transfer window closes tomorrow. I think we're going to do a deadline day stream, but because we've got a pod recording, we'll chat after. We'll certainly have something out tomorrow. Here's what I think is happening. I think basically we needed a versatile forward. The club have spent all January saying, can we move anything? Well, I think we need a centre forward, a proper centre forward, and that's basically Šeško or Isak, and we needed a versatile forward because of what's happening in the summer. I think they basically looked at the centre forward to see if they could do that earlier, Isak and Šeško. I think that's where those talks came from, and realised they couldn't do it. So then moved on to the versatile forward. I think they are looking, and obviously in this sort of window, you have two options to go to. You can go potential, you can go experience. And to the club's credit, it sounds like they went, actually, let's try and go for experience. I feel, this is just a feeling, that the Ollie Watkins deal will happen. Partly because of the fact he's a boyhood Arsenal fan, partly because I think it's quite a simple deal to do from his perspective. I imagine the personal terms won't be a problem. He's already in the Premier League, etc., etc. I think that will be a deal that can get done on a deadline day type thing. And because I think we'll probably been waiting to see if there's anything else moving. I imagine we'll be looking at Tell, all that sorts of things, and we probably gone, look, let's put the money down for Watkins because it makes the most sense in this position. Have we handled this window the best that I would have liked? No. Have we handled the whole situation well? No. But have we, if we come out this window with Ollie Watkins, I will be okay with that.
That exceeds my expectations. I didn't think we would get an Ollie Watkins level signing. I think we would have had £60 million. Again, I would have, everybody on stream knows what I would have done and why I would have gone to PSG and exactly when I would have done it and for who. But I think I'm with you. They wanted a versatile forward and they wanted a forward with instant impact. They didn't care which position that was. We're obviously looking for a left wing and a striker as far as priority goes. But there's many people that fit that description, and it doesn't have to be those positions. And I just think wherever the market took them is where they wanted to go with. And I think Ollie Watkins does a lot for us. If that was to happen, I can't wait to talk about it and to do a true scouted, because I think that as far as unfashionable names go and transferable qualities, Ollie Watkins in this team is a stud. Ollie Watkins as a player may not be the stud people think, but Ollie Watkins in this team, this specific Arsenal team, how we use our center forwards.
Back post FC, baby.
that could be very exciting. I think Matthias Tell is an interesting one. Huge talent as far as what we're doing. I've always felt that, though, Arsenal are more along the lines of not willing to trust the big bucks on that type of prospect. And I even felt, as far as Sesko went, even when we looked at it, Arsenal were fundamentally not comfortable blowing that kind of money on somebody that, again, is a prospect. Just the theory of that. As far as the summer goes, different story. We can start planning for things. There can be a little bit more thought in regards to how it fits as far as the overall plan. But any money that was spent in this window for me was for a guarantee. And the rest was going to be
immediate impact. It's got to be immediate impact. And that is Ollie Watkins. And I'm frustrated with the way this has played out and so on and so forth. And I imagine there's been difficult conversations with Šeško if that hasn't happened. We don't know what's happened. I just can't imagine, and I pray to whatever is out there, that we end this window empty-handed. If we've gone in for however much money, 40, 50 million for Ollie Watkins, and we leave this window with nothing, if we've gone that far for a player who's 29 years old, if we do an un-Arsenal move and go that far into it, I would be very shocked we don't finish the window with something. So it remains to be seen what that is. We'll be back tomorrow with a pod, potentially streams to talk through all things deadline day. Let's cross our fingers and hope. George, there's only one way to finish this. But firstly, thank you for being here.
Thank you, good sir.
Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, all those sorts of things. There's only one way to finish. You don't like to touch balls?
You don't like to touch balls? So I love it. So yeah, come. You don't like to touch balls? You don't like to touch balls? Touch balls? Touch balls? Touch. You don't like to touch balls? 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 So I love it. 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 The Korean guy, and so I love it. 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 You don't like to touch balls?
Thanks for watching, and thanks for keeping it Arsenal.